Ladies and gentlemen, this is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Tuesday, the 17th day of December, year of our Lord 2019, welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our shows with something that Elizabeth Warren really doesn't like to say. That would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Preparative of the day, it's appropriate for this time of year. I want you to update all of your plans, your bug out plans, your bug in plans, whatever plans you have, and chances are you've got a number of plans. So that would be a good thing to do, and I encourage you to do it. Just do it, and you'll be very glad you did. One of our listeners sent me an interview that Dave Hodges did on the 6th day of December, interviewing Steve Quayle. It's available at Dave Hodges' website, thecommonsensshow.com. And Steve and Doug and I've known Steve Quayle since the late 90s when I did my first radio show in St. Louis. I had him on my radio show frequently back in 98 and 99. Dave Hodges, of course, I know Dave, and we talk privately whenever we need to. But they touched on a couple of things concerning violent earth changes that I want to talk about here. We'll have open lines this first hour, by the way. The call number is 800-313-9443. And we'll have Leon Green with us the second hour. There's an article at my website. If you scroll down pretty far down, you'll see it says, no need for panic. No need for panic. Right below the Navy map that I worked with the Navy veterans to prepare. It's been quite a while since I wrote this. Let's see what the date is on this thing. We originally published January 2006. So we were right at 14 years ago. 14 years ago this fall, I was writing this initially as a private letter to two men, my brother and my kid brother and my brother-in-law, for two reasons. One, it was the right thing to do. And number two, I knew they wouldn't pay heed, but I wanted to give them a heads up anyway about what's coming. It's 17 pages, free download. In fact, it was the first thing I ever sold on my website. I was selling this article, No Need for Panic, I think for $5 a copy. It's been a free download now for quite a while. The governments of the world, our government included, are very concerned right now about something that they feel is a high likelihood of happening. That would be a meteor/asteroid hitting the Atlantic Ocean, and to a lesser extent the Pacific Ocean. But their main concern, based on the information I'm getting, is the Atlantic Ocean. Now, a ground strike is devastating when a good-sized meteor hits on dry ground, on one hand. On the other, hitting one of these oceans is absolutely devastating. For the following reason, it sets off a tidal wave that travels not quite the speed of sound in all directions, as far as I know. That's the main concern of the federal government of the United States right now in terms of violent earth changes, is a strike in the Atlantic Ocean, which would take out the east coast of the United States. Now, that's the home of about 80 to 85 million people, about 1/4 our population, and of course, lots of critical infrastructure. The federal government there, of course, in Washington, D.C. We've got Annapolis. We've got all these institutions and very critical parts of our economy all up and down the East Coast, from the tip of Florida to the state of Maine and the Canadian border. That's what the government is focused on right now privately. They're not talking about it publicly. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. On the other side of the continent, We've got two things going on right now also that have a lot of high-level government officials very concerned. Those two things being the Cascadia subduction zone, that's the earthquake-prone area just off the coast of Seattle, and the volcanoes, the Cascade Mountain volcanoes. The Cascade Mountain Range is not mountains, they're volcanoes, and 5 of them are now venting. What does that mean? Venting? That means water is getting down to the lava, the magma, the melted rock, and turning into steam, and that steam comes out. It's called venting. That's happening right now in 5 of these volcanoes, including Mount Rainier. Now, Mount Rainier is just south of Seattle. You can see it from Seattle, from Metro Seattle. My son-in-law was taking me to the airport. It was in the pre-dawn hours, about 4 weeks ago. And I pointed to Mount Rainier, and I said, when that thing starts smoking, it's time to get out of Dodge. Well, it was smoking. It was not smoking then, but it is now. My daughter and my son-in-law, I don't believe they're going to evacuate until, well, basically, they have no choice, along with everybody else. I'm posting them a letter today, advising them I think it's be prudent to have a plan to start over. And I hope they pay heed to that at least. It's tough. It's tough. They own a home. They have their employment. Their children are, that's the children's home. The children go to school there. They're very connected to the community in all the different ways people get connected to communities. And the very thought of selling out and leaving is something they don't even want to consider. And I understand that. I appreciate that. And when they have no choice, that's when they'll leave on one hand. On the other, their home would probably have no value. What the experts are saying is that everything west of Interstate 5 will either be severely damaged or destroyed underwater. Everything east of Interstate 5, all up and down that coast. From the, I think I-5 goes up to Canada, all the way down to California and so forth. Everything west of Interstate 5 wiped out. Mount Rainier, it's estimated that when Mount Rainier blows, it would deposit 2 to 3 feet of ash on Metro Seattle. That would be the end of Seattle for a long time, a really long time. Recovery from that would take years, many years. And Seattle would never ever be the same in our lifetimes, at least my lifetime. I recall when I was in the Philippines a few years back, the U.S. government gave an air base to the Philippine government after it was covered up with 10 feet of volcanic ash. It took the Philippine government 20 years to dig out the airport, the air base, and make it usable again. And while I was there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony to reopen the air base that had been gifted to the Philippine government. Complete, intact infrastructure. Everything you need to have an air base under 10 feet of ash. There's ways to calculate how many cubic yards that is, but it has to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cubic yards of volcanic ash that would have to be moved. What an absolute undertaking that would be. Now, 2 to 3 feet, that may not sound like much. It would, the weight of the ash would collapse many roofs. All buildings, all structures are built with engineering premises. I doubt very many roofs in Seattle are built to carry any kind of snow load of any consequence. They may be engineered to carry a slight snow load, maybe up to a foot. But 3 feet of volcanic ash is a lot of weight. And the infrastructure that would be damaged and destroyed permanently would be hard to calculate. As I've said frequently, maybe not all that frequently, there's no square foot on this planet completely safe from all environmental threats: hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, volcanoes. No place. That place does not exist. Obviously, some places are more dangerous than others. Now, the United States Navy, they came to the conclusion that the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is one of the safe havens. Now, the focus of the Navy has been for decades, for 40 years. I've traced back, the first briefing I've been able to trace back to was 1979, 40 years ago this year, in New Orleans. Flag rank officers went into the briefing room. They saw the map that's on my website. And they were told the following: gentlemen, in your lifetimes, these oceans will come out of their basins, flooding all coastal areas worldwide. And when it comes time to retire, you just might want to retire to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks as one of the known safe havens. And many have. Many have. The Prophecy Club in Topeka, Kansas, Stan Johnson, Pastor Stan Johnson, the Prophecy Club, they sent me on a nationwide speaking tour on this topic. I was in Detroit, a hotel meeting room, had about 250, 300 people, standing room only, 3-hour presentation, 2 15-minute breaks. During the first break, a gentleman walked up and introduced himself. He says, John, I'm in the insurance industry. Myself, my co-workers, we've wondered for years, why is there so many thousands of retired Navy people in the zip codes of the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks? He said, now we know. Now we know. So why did the Navy pick the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks? Let's look at that. First of all, altitude above sea level. Most of the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is 900 to 1,000 feet above sea level and higher. Distance from major bodies of water. The Gulf of Mexico is a long way away. When you have the Mississippi River east of us, that's not an issue for us. When the Mississippi River becomes an inland sea, it will not affect the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks dramatically. But what it could do, and what the Navy veterans were told in some of these briefings, and I've confirmed this by several men, the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks itself could become a series of islands if the water gets high enough. Of course, it doesn't take a whole lot to create small islands for the following reason. We've got more creeks and rivers in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks than pretty much anywhere. On the Missouri side of the Ozarks, there's more bridges in the Missouri side of the Ozarks, which is from the Arkansas state line to the Missouri River, than any state in the United States. Most of them being what we call low water bridges. That would be several culvert pipes, steel culvert pipes covered with concrete, and the water goes through the pipes in normal times and comes up over the top of the low water bridge when it's in flood stage. We've got thousands of those. There's one right down, I can almost see it from where I'm sitting, a low water bridge. The county does maintenance on it. Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks has a relatively short, relatively mild winter, a long growing season. As I mentioned, all the water you would ever want, a very homogeneous population, almost all Caucasian. There's a lot of American Indians in there, but quite frankly, the ones I've met, I can't tell them from another Irishman. I just can't. There are probably people that can, but I can't. A population that has retained many of the old ways of the Ozarks, of gardening, canning, hunting, and fishing. In fact, most men and women that grow up in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, they know that hunting and fishing is God's gift to mankind. They know that. They don't need to be told it. Very independent people. Very independent. And that's the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. Mild climate, lots of water, long growing season. Good people for the most part. We got our share of knuckleheads and criminals, like any place does. Of course we do. They won't do too well in a long-term crisis because we do know who they are. And they're used to not working and used to living off government subsidies and what they can steal and taking drugs, they're not going to do too well in a long-term crisis. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. As a consequence, we have tens of thousands of retired Navy people living in the zip codes of the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. A lot of flag rank officers from all the services. What's a flag rank officer? Those are generals and admirals. That's what flag rank officers are. And within a 1 hour drive from where I am, there's at least a dozen retired flag rank officers living their retirement comfortably. So here we are. It's December 2019. It's going to be 2020 in just about 2 weeks. I think New Year's Eve is 2 weeks from today, if I remember what I looked at the calendar earlier today. 2 weeks from today is New Year's Eve. We got an election coming up in 11 months, less than 11 months. Democrats are scared to death that they're going to lose the momentum they gained under Hussein Obama. They're already losing it. President Trump has already done a lot to do away with what was put in place by Hussein Obama. And given 5 more years, he's going to do away with pretty much all of it, including appointing at least 1, possibly 2 new Supreme Court justices. That's got the Democrats scared to death. More than 100 federal appointees, federal judges will be appointed. And of course, a house cleaning in all the executive branch agencies of the deep state. So we're at the cusp of violent civil war. We really are. We're at the cusp of very violent earth changes involving the East Coast and the West Coast, possibly in the central part of the country. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? a voice of truth in a sea of lies, do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th of December. We are going on a cruise, the John Moore Patriot Symposium Cruise. We leave Port Orlando Sunday, the 9th day of February. We return a week later, Saturday, the 16th. We'll be at St. Martin's, San Juan, Coco Cay in the Bahamas. All recovered from the hurricane, by the way. If you want it to be romantic, you and your honey, we will have Valentine's Day right in the middle of the cruise on the 14th. So it'll be a lot of fun. Last time I talked to our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, there were still cabins available. And once they're sold, and that's it. So you can get the details at my website about the John Moore Patriot Symposium Cruise. Or you can call our cruise director, Betsy Murphy. Here's her telephone number twice. 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Earth changes. Violent earth changes. I first became aware of Planet X quite a few years ago. It would have been around spring of 2000, I guess. So it's been, 20 years? It didn't take me long. It took me about 90 days to confirm that the federal government has been aware of this since they sent the Pioneer 10 space probe up, specific to a specific part of space, looking for the Planet X, and they found it, and they've been tracking it ever since. That was in the late 80s, and so we're looking at 30 years ago, maybe longer. Maybe closer to 40 years ago, quite frankly. Regardless, that's an issue that's always kind of in the background. Those of us who studied the matter, we do know that there's what's called traveling companions to Planet X. That would be rocks the size of pickup trucks, rocks the size of Rhode Island that travel with the 10th planet. That's what the government's concerned about right now, are rocks. Now, they may or may not be traveling with Planet X. However, the government's very concerned about good-sized rocks hitting the Atlantic Ocean. And you should be also, even if you live in Kansas. Because what that would do to the American economy would be devastating, absolutely devastating. Recovering from that episode would take many, many years. What's going on with the Pacific Northwest is very concerning as well. That's another big chunk of our economy. I would say conservatively 10% of GDP is generated in the Pacific Northwest. Look what's up there. The Google, Boeing, thousands of companies are up in the Pacific Northwest. Loss of life, the loss of property would be hard to calculate. I am so glad that I find myself in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. We have listeners that are making the decision to sell out wherever they might be and move to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. That's been going on for years. Now, the Navy veterans. This is interesting to observe what the Navy veterans do. Now, typical military retirees, 40 to 45 years old, very young men and women. And when it comes time to retire, they find their 5 or 10 or 20 acres of heaven in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. They move there, and they start their new life. start a new career and start frequently building their hobby farm. We just happen to have a hobby farm for sale in my neighborhood, by the way. It's still available right down the road from me in my zip code, the only hobby farm in my zip code I'm aware of. And when it's gone, it's gone. We've had several of my listeners look at it. Nobody's bit the bullet yet and bought the place. And if you want to be my neighbor, this is your chance. So it's not an easy decision. Leaving everything you know, leaving everything you love, and moving hundreds, if not thousands of miles to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, to uncharted territory, at least as far as you would be concerned. New culture, new neighborhood, new everything, unfamiliar everything, unless you've been here before. It's a unique culture. Every area has its own unique culture. The Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is no exception. We have both ends of the political spectrum, although most people in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks tend to be conservative. Even the Democrats tend to be conservative, believe it or not. It's a unique culture. You'll see some things that you're familiar with. We got bits of the West. We got bits of the South. Bits of the Appalachian Mountains mixed into our culture here in terms of music and lifestyles and dress and so forth. And most people moving here, they do get to where they like being in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. They like the terrain, they like the people, they like the culture. And life goes on, especially if we are in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. And that's what we're talking about here is preservation of innocent life, aren't we? I believe we are. We have a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 17th day of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I am so happy that we got my website all squared away, for the most part. Tim Spencer started this project about a year ago. It's beautiful. It's well laid out. If you haven't been to my website for the past 12 months, which I know some of you haven't, you may want to check it out. It's easy to navigate, easy to find stuff. And I should mention, I'll be speaking in Orlando on Saturday, the 8th day of February. You scroll down the left side of my homepage, you'll see my photograph of myself and Steve Ben Noon and his lovely wife, Jana, right next to him. All three of us will be speaking that day. It'll be a great event there in Orlando, and tickets are available for sale there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Just to the right of that, the second block over, is the hobby farm for sale, all set up and ready to go. Now that's 3 years of pretty intense work already done for you. It takes a good 3 years to get this hobby farm set up and producing enough food to feed a family. This one's already set up and ready to go. That's huge. That's massive. Also, many people, I've done this myself, they give themselves a Christmas gift. Usually I give myself a birthday gift, but I'll sometimes give myself a Christmas gift if I feel like it. If you're suffering from arthritis, you need to give yourself an energy cleaner. That's what you need to do. Give yourself an energy cleaner and a mattress pad. We got twin, full, queen, king, California king. So what is Energy Cleaner for you new listeners out there? We'll study up on it at my website. We'll talk about it in more detail Thursday with Tom Berryhill, the second half hour of my show. A marvelous healing device that helps mitigate pain from arthritis, joint pain, back pain, helps you get a great night's sleep as well as a small child like I do every night. Details are at my website. We can make your purchase using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. And I have a toll-free order line, 24 hours a day. You can place your order right there. That's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We got a caller on hold here. We got Scott in Arizona. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. All these big cities are overrun in the rural areas nowadays, like in Virginia and such. I had a thought about trying to get electoral college at the state level. You think something like that would work?
Well, it will be opposed by the liberals who want the majority vote to rule. First of all, it would be difficult. It's worthwhile trying to do, Scott. I know in Missouri, we've never had a governor elected from any of the major cities ever. The governors are always elected from the rural areas away from the cities. It would be quite an undertaking, to say the least, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's gotta have to do something. But like Phoenix, wherever Phoenix does, the rest of the state, it's pulled along with them. And our governor just said they're going to resettle immigrants in here now.
Oh, really?
So we're going to have a flood of, the Republican governor.
There's other states like that. New York State is controlled by Metro New York City, of course. And there's other states like that. Missouri, thank goodness, is not one of them. Metro Chicago, what they call the necklace counties, the counties that touch.
They have no representation.
Yeah, Southern Illinois, there's been serious, not make believe, but serious attempts to have Southern Illinois split off and become another state. They're so fed up with the politics out of Cook County. It would be tough, Scott. It would be really tough to do what you suggest.
Well, I tried to get in Monday, but I couldn't. But what I wanted to ask your guest, or you're both pretty good at that. Well, looking at short-barreled or long-barreled pistol, AR style. And I was just wondering that they have both of them like 12-inch, 12.5-inch, a 308 or a 6.5 Grindle. I was just wondering how they would compare. That's too short for a 308.
Pistol size platform?
Yeah, 12-inch barrel, 12.5. Yeah. They are being made now.
Well, these firearms do exist on one hand. On the other, the recoil of a powerful cartridge like a 308 or 6.5 Grindle would be a lot to hold on to, a lot to handle. What would be the end use? What would be the purpose of this rifle size cartridge in a pistol?
Oh, just like for in the camper and stuff like that. We got bears and stuff, so.
Bears and stuff. Well,
bears and wolves and lions.
Right.
So you want something enough to.
Well, the 308 will knock them down. No doubt about that. What I would suggest, Scott, before you make a $1,000 mistake, is attempt to go someplace that has that type of firearm to rent. If you can put maybe 50 rounds down range and see if it's something you really want to own before you put down that kind of money.
Yeah, I'd say.
Imagine the
flash shop.
The first time you light up, that's that lightweight of a firearm with a 308 or 6.5 Grindle. It's going to be an event.
So that's why I'm asking now.
Yeah, it'll get your attention, and I don't know your physique, how big and strong guy you are, but
I'm getting older, so I'm weakening. Yeah.
Well, you'd be well advised to find a place that rents these things and put about 50 rounds down range before you make a $1,000 mistake.
Well, and another alternative I could go like, I have 10 millimeter. You could because you're more accurate with a AR style pistol than a regular pistol. 10 millimeter would be another alternative.
AR pistol and 10 millimeter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good choice. A 300 Blackout is a pretty good choice also. There's a lot of alternatives out there. Why don't you call in next Monday and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Call numbers 800-313-9443. It's always a good idea, in my opinion, to be able to try out a firearm before you buy it, and assuming you don't have experience with a very similar firearm already, which negates the need for that. I've had any number of pistol students. I teach Missouri concealed carry training classes, and it's usually men, occasionally women, but usually men. They'll get the concealed carry permit. They go out and buy a really large, very heavy pistol, thinking that's what they want because their favorite action hero has one. And they get a holster to carry it with, and they carry it for maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and at the end of which they wake up one morning and they say to themselves, I'm not going to do this anymore. This pistol's too darn heavy, too darn big. I'm going to get something that's smaller and more comfortable to carry. So there's a $1,000 mistake that sits in the safe while they go and buy something that they should have bought in the first place, a smaller, lighter pistol. That's happened many times to men and occasionally women, I know. I have been shocked at the number of women who buy this pistol called the Judge, which is a really big, heavy revolver, which shoots your choice of either 410 shotgun shells or 45 long Colt. It's a monster. A really big, really heavy pistol. It doesn't surprise me too much when I see a man buying those, but I have been shocked at how many women have bought these. And they usually can't elaborate too much on why, but my belief is that they want the intimidation value because it's a very intimidating firearm to have pointed at you. Any firearm's intimidating, but the intimidation value of that Judge is pretty off the charts crazy. As I said earlier, I just wrote a letter, but I'll be posting it today or tomorrow if I can get out of here today. I'm not sure. To my daughter, my son-in-law, encourage them to have a plan to deal with the volcanoes and the upcoming earthquake that will probably affect their area up there in Metro Seattle area. I want to see them safe, obviously. What parent wouldn't? I want to see them prosper. What parent wouldn't? And I want to encourage them to do the right thing and evacuate while they can. Once the balloon goes up, as we say, it's too late. Where does that expression come from, the balloon going up? That comes from the 19th century when hot air balloons were used as observation posts in the military. And so when the balloon went up, that meant the battle was about to begin. That's where that term comes from. 19th century aviation. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to search for a date? I determined to my own satisfaction about 3 years ago, the only people looking for a date are the ones who aren't prepared, the ones who are not living a day-to-day life of preparedness. The Navy veterans are not searching for a date. They don't need to. They've got their little slice of heaven, their 5 or 10 or 20 acres. They're living a day-to-day life of preparedness, doing the things that they do 7 days a week. What relevance does a date have for them? None whatsoever. The people who are looking for a date are not prepared. And here's what they think, those people looking for a date. Oh, I'll keep living my urban and suburban life. Once I get the date, then I'll get my safe haven, get it set up, and start my hobby farm. That's what they think. That's what they believe. It's a prescription for disaster is what that is. There may never be a specific date given long enough in advance to do anything about it. The government isn't going to warn you. When I was talking to the sponsor of the Prague Peace Prize back in the spring of 2017, I was awarded the Prague Peace Prize in July 2017 for my work on violent earth changes. She was asking me, John, were you upset when you came to realize the consequences of Planet X and that the government wasn't going to tell anybody? And I told her, I said, yes, initially I was, and for quite a few years I was. That's been 20 years ago. I since came to the realization, however, that if I was in charge, I probably wouldn't inform people either, for the following reason. If these people are going to die anyway, why cause premature death and so forth now, before the fact? And as unpleasant as that is to think about, but that it is the right decision, is not to inform the public. There's no place in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozark for 350 million people to live. That place does not exist. It's not going to exist. It's not going to happen. So what would be the point of warning people if there's no place for them to go? Obviously, the answer is there's no point in it. It's obvious to me. It became obvious to me. It's a sad fact of life, but that is the truth. Those of you listening to me, well, you got your warning. And it's your decision to act or not act. I have no emotional attachment to the consequences of your decision. I really don't. I hope you do make the decision to join me in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks so you and your family can be safe. I hope you do that. If you don't, I'm okay with that too. Of course I am. Life is two things: decisions and the consequences of those decisions. That's what life is. So deciding not to do anything is a decision in and of itself, isn't it? Of course it is. Very dear friend of mine, he's an attorney. He is not prepared for this, but I've been talking to him about it for 25 years. He says, John, well, I'll just come down and be with you. And I said, really? And he says, yeah. He says, you're going to need a lawyer. I said, really? He said, yeah, you're going to need a lawyer. I don't think so. I don't think so. The group I'm with, we're not taking in refugees. And that's just not going to happen. We've been working since 1999 on this project. And if refugees show up at the gate, we'll give them directions to the nearest refugee camp. That's what we'll do. Maybe Viburnum, Missouri, maybe Steelville, Missouri. It won't be here. It won't be here. They'll be turned away. It's up to you to find a safe haven for yourself and your family. That's up to you, not up to John Moore. So don't come knocking on my door. The preparations I've made are for myself and my family. And anybody who shows up will not be admitted into the premises. That's simply not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We have a lot on our plate, don't we? Between the possibility of civil war, the geological earth changes, violent earth changes, the political scene involving the impeachment of Donald Trump. The impeachment trial, of course, will fail. That's a given. If the House representative is smart, they won't vote for it to move forward to a trial. That would be a smart thing for them to do. Although they keep proving over and over again they're not terribly smart, don't they? That's what they keep doing. Steve Quayle, my friend Steve Quayle, my friend Dave Hodges, my friend Doug Hagman, others that I know and respect, are all prognosticating, along with myself, the possibility of civil war in the next 12 months. It won't be spontaneous. It'll be contrived in advance, planned, organized, trained, and equipped people to begin this. Planned, organized, trained, and equipped by George Soros and his money. That's where this is going to begin. If it begins, I hope it doesn't. I pray it doesn't. I'd rather be doing other things than dealing with civil war. I'm sure most of you would also. We should be having our last break here momentarily. We may have time for one quick call at 800-313-9443. Top of the hour, we'll have Leon Green with us. I'm really looking forward to this Caribbean cruise. I've never been on a cruise. This ship has 21 restaurants. Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. 21 restaurants. You can go to a different restaurant every meal, pretty much. Here's our break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry Moore here at Republic Broadcasting on Tuesday, the 17th of December. We got a caller on hold. We got John in Missouri. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mr. Moore. I really enjoy it when you talk about the benefits of living in the Missouri Ozarks. My wife and I bought a farm down there. The taxes on 143 acres was $400. We got water. We got good neighbors. We got decent roads. And a possibility of living past the whatever's coming. You can live in Missouri and thrive in Missouri. We're living in the East Coast, where we're from, is pretty difficult. It's expensive.
The tax, where you left on the East Coast, what was the size of the property and what were the annual taxes?
I was just north of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 25 acres. It was $2,200 a year.
Well, that's
that was probably pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's obviously substantially more than what you're paying now. Well, good for you, John, and welcome to Missouri.
Hey, I appreciate it. I had a friend of mine say the same thing your lawyer friend said. Well, if it gets bad, I'll just come down to you. And I informed him that you're not going to make it. You're not going to get out of the East Coast. A couple Jersey barriers, and you're stuck there. Thank you much, Mr. Moore.
Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Yeah, I'll just come and stay with you. How many times have we heard that? Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm a very public person. Thousands of people know John Moore, lives in Davisville. And I don't know how many intend to show up at my gate, but they're not welcome. They're not welcome. You've had your heads up. It's your choice to act on that heads up or not. I respect that, but your failure to act on that choice doesn't translate into something I need to do, such as letting you in the gate. That's not going to happen. So make your plans that are viable, and we'll stand up to scrutiny, and then put them in place. That's what needs to happen. That's really what needs to happen. At the top of the hour break coming up here in about 2 minutes. We'll be back with Leon Green. We'll be talking about all the things that Leon and I talk about. Leon's going on the cruise, by the way. Between Leon and I, there's not much about preparedness that we don't know between the two of us. It will be a very informative cruise, the John Moore Patriot Symposium cruise, the second week of February. What a great time to be away from the ice, the cold, the snow, the slop. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. We haven't had more than half an inch of snow here in my home here in south central Missouri for at least 4 years. And here we are with about 3 inches, which if you're in Minnesota, you make fun of it. It's not a big deal. But down here, it's a big deal. As I'm telling people, nobody under 20 years old in this neighborhood has ever driven on ice and snow before. There simply hasn't been any in their driving experience these past 4 years. But that's where we are, with a little bit of snow here and a little bit of ice. A lot to think about. We got to top the hour break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here at Republic Broadcasting on Tuesday, the 17th day of December. Prepper tip of the day, appropriate for this time of year. We got 2 weeks from today will be New Year's Eve. The prepper tip of the day is to update all of your plans. You probably have multiple plans. I know I do. I'm sure Leon Green does. Update all your plans. Go over them. The plans need to be in writing, by the way. If they're not in writing, they don't exist. They're just thoughts. Until they're in writing, they're just thoughts. So make those plans in writing and then update them as necessary. We have patient waiting agreement with my friend Leon Green. Leon is a gentleman who began a quest about a decade ago to become very knowledgeable in anything and everything to do with doTERRA essential oils. So we'll be talking about the doTERRA oils and related topics. If you want to get started with doTERRA oils yourself, all you need to do is the following. First of all, at my website at thelibertyman.com, there's a drop-down menu under products. That's my landing page for doTERRA oils. Plus, you're going to want to buy 2 books. A friend of mine's getting copies of both these books, by the way. Modern Essentials is the title of the book. And you'll be getting the 5th edition and the 11th edition, just published in this past September. The 5th edition and the 11th edition. They're both beautiful, both well done. The 5th edition says things we're not allowed to say anymore. The 11th edition is all the latest and greatest oils. And you'll certainly appreciate and get a lot out of both. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning,
Hello.
sir. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good morning.
I thought I didn't know if we had you for a moment.
Yes, sir.
Well, Leon, we're getting close to the cruise here, only about 7 weeks away or so, and it'll be a lot of fun. What I'm telling people is between your base knowledge and my base of knowledge when it comes to prepping, between the two of us, there's not much we don't know, is there?
I can't think of anything right now that we have a shortage in, and we cover a multitude of things. And I would definitely like to. Maybe we could fill this out to have at the conference a list of questions they really want to address. If they want to, at the topics they really want us to cover. So then, we know the ones we want to specialize.
Yeah, you're right. We'll be doing that the first day at sea. We'll be making that list. So at the end of the cruise, a week later, everybody's questions are thoroughly and completely asked, and that will be taking place the first day. It's as they say, Leon, great minds think alike. Well, Leon, I keep the 5th edition close by at all times. When I have my workstation here where I do my radio show and TV show, and it's on the shelf just a few feet away from me. And I pick up that reference book, the 5th edition of Modern Essentials, about once a week. A little something will pop up, and I'll think to myself, I bet there's an oil that would help this. And there always is. There's always an oil that helps whatever little thing pops up. And I'm sure you have a similar experience, don't you, sir?
Yes, sir. I mean, even last night I was out getting some supplies for a ski trip. I'm bringing my daughter from Missouri, and we're going to go skiing with my son in Vail next weekend. While I was shopping, this man called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I heard you on the radio." Well, I actually heard a friend of his named Robert, and it wasn't on the radio show, but it was a referral, and he said, "Yeah, I have Lyme's disease," and my friend Robert said he had all these other issues, and the oils helped him drastically. And he said he believes in so much that he's told me about you for months now, and I finally got around to calling you. So he called me last night, and I was already talking to somebody earlier, and so I said, "Hey, let's talk a little bit later." So after the trip to the store, I ended up calling him back. He's having all sorts of issues, inflammation. He's starting to lose his eyesight. I mean, he talks about how you have they call it slimy brain, where it's like a type of mental fog where you're in. And the woman across the street her daughter has it, and she lost a $60,000 job out in California working for PG&E because of it. She couldn't focus. She couldn't drive a car legally anymore. It was terrible. So, they're only giving him 3 different drugs, and none of them are working. And he talks about weight gain and sleep problems and all these other issues. And now his liver issues have increased drastically. And so when you talk about, people, can this help me with sleep? And I say, yes, drastically. It's going to help you with other things. And this guy, his problems, he's about to go blind in one eye. He has bronchitis. He's had just all these issues. And it's like, wow. And Lyme's disease, ticks carry more vectors than mosquitoes do. And so it's encouraging to see that, you can use it both as a repellent to prevent getting bit in the first place, or stung, and then you can use it after the fact. So when people say, does this make a difference in your life? It's like, in his case, it's life-threatening. So it's really encouraging to see how something as a friend can refer another friend who's already seen the benefits, and we're going to be able to help him drastically. So, it is very much a daily event in which I talk to people. I had somebody work on my ski suit last week, my zipper that I'd had for 25 years broke, and I bought another one, and she said, I fixed it regardless of what, with using the new one. Then she told me about problems she had with a family friend in his 30s passed away from a heart attack. And I said, she described it before, everything that happened. And I said, was it cardiovascular issues? She said, yes. And, sleep at night. Her daughter has anxiety now. And all these things, something as simple as, just listening to people's concerns. And, people always talk about the weather, but they also talk about pain and issues that they deal with. So that was something I talk about on a daily basis with people all across the world, all around the world, about issues and how the oils can benefit them simply and inexpensively.
Well, that's what we want. We want to maintain health, regain lost health in ways that are cost-effective, can cause no harm, that are simple, non-invasive, and the doTERRA essential oils meet all that criteria, don't they?
Absolutely. And like you said, you use them in the kitchen for cleaning, and in the laundry room for doing your clothes, and so you're not getting all the phosphates and all the other chemicals they have in there. And one thing, people have contact dermatitis or skin issues. A lot of times, the vast majority of the contact dermatitis is directly attached or attributed to the dryer sheets. They have tons of chemicals in there. And I only use those things when I find them, like 50 cents. I use them as tinder, starting fires, because it works extremely well. And even if they're wet, I don't use those poisons.
I visit these thrift stores to look for bargains about maybe once every 2 or 3 months, and as soon as you walk in the door, the smell of these fabric softeners just about knocks me over. It just permeates the entire premises. My late wife, Dr. Moore, liked to find bargains at the thrift shops in an article of clothing that she particularly liked, and she would launder them about 5 times to get the scent from the fabric softeners out, and then on top of that, had to put it in the sunshine for maybe 1 or 2 full days. Those perfumes are very powerful in fabric softeners, aren't they?
And that's one thing I do. It's always funny when I talk to people who are ignorant about the oils. They say, "Well, I'm allergic to stinky smells," and I'm like, "Yeah." In most cases, the people who are allergic to the cheap perfumes and perfumes and eau de toilette and colognes, those are because they are chemicals. Very few use the original underlying herbs, so like Red Door and Elizabeth Taylor's what's the other one, White Diamonds. They use ylang ylang, and it's a Chinese yellow flower. It's incredibly effective. And it's very, very much an aphrodisiac. It smells great, but they, instead of using the actual flower, the companies now 98% of them all use the chemical knockoff. So it's a man-made knockoff clone, just like the pharmaceutical stuff, or the real thing. But ylang ylang is phenomenal as being a way to eliminate and stop mind chatter. So if you're trying to go to sleep and you're thinking about debts, you're thinking about problems, new projects, you touch it to your nose, you take it sublingually, and it helps get rid of that chatter immensely. And and they use it in Serenity. The Serenity oil has lavender, Serenity, and several other oils from chamomile to calm people down and go to sleep at night. And when I talk to people about, they're like, I can't deal with oils because, any oils, any oils because they're too strong. I'm like, yeah, tell me what have you had? Oh, I had a person in the office. She always wear these nasty perfumes, and so now I have all these problems with it. It's like, are you allergic to a tree? No. Are you allergic to a rose? No. Okay, so what you've been exposed to is gasoline that smells like those two, roses and geranium, and what you've done now is you have a mental block in it. So when they actually get to have the oils that are real, that are beyond organic, that are therapeutic, certified therapeutic medical, therapeutic grade, they do not have those issues. And so it's just a matter of, people are conditioned, just like when they see things on TV, they're like, they see it, but they don't really think about it. At the end of all the commercials, this may cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, anal leakage, suicidal ideation, coma, death. And thank you for taking our drug that you had a headache for. And that's...
Yeah. Well, people are listening to Leon here, and it's fun listening to Leon give us these facts. But without follow-up, it doesn't mean anything. Here's the follow-up. At my website, under products, is my landing page for doTERRA oils. Get yourself the books, Modern Essential, the two different editions, the 5th edition and the 11th edition. Now, if you need a private consultation, Leon is very knowledgeable and very willing to give of his time. Or if you want to start a business, it can be a very nice business, selling doTERRA oils, online or to friends and family. Leon will help you with that. But you need to give Leon a call. What's that phone number, Leon?
It's 303-4905-2188, Mountain Time.
Okay, and that's Mountain Time. If he doesn't pick up, just leave a message at 303-495-2188. And get going. Get your life back. Leon, I don't know how much, I know you occasionally listen to some of the first hour, but we were talking a lot of the first hour about the U.S. government's concern about an asteroid hitting the Atlantic Ocean and wiping out the East Coast. And the government's also concerned about the Cascade Mountain volcanoes blowing up, which they're venting now, 5 are venting, and the subduction zone just off the coast from Seattle causing a massive tidal wave. Between those issues, people need to be aware of those issues, even if they're not affected directly. If either one happened, there would be a great chance of the supply chain that delivers pharmaceutical products and food to our local communities being disrupted. And that's where the oils come in, and having oils on your premises right now. So if that disruption happens, you've got something to take the place of pharmaceutical products, right, man?
Absolutely. And I highly encourage people to get the enrollment kits because that's by far the best value. You can always buy them individually, but when you get the kit, you save more percentage-wise, and they address the vast majority of human maladies and even animal maladies. And so, the kits, even the basic one has 10 oils in there, has 6 singles and 4 blends. And so lemon, frankincense, melaleuca, which is also tea tree oil, oregano, and peppermint and lavender. And then the blends, these are all doTERRA proprietary blends. And one is On Guard, the other one is Deep Blue, Breathe, and Digest. And say those are for the digestive issues, the respiratory issues. Deep Blue is specifically for pain abatement, and On Guard is for the immune enhancement. So right now everybody's going to be traveling, just like during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. And if you're not traveling, you may have people coming to you. And so now they're bringing all the bugs on the planes and the trains, gas stations, the ships, and however else they walk there. What happens is they're interacting with everybody else in the world, whether they fly through Heathrow or Kuala Lumpur, and then now you get all those interesting bugs that can travel anywhere in the world within 48 hours, and now they bring them to your party. And so you're now exposed to it. So you can get these diffusers still now and get protection, and and the On Guard is phenomenal that it allows you to put it in the diffuser, and it protects airborne pathogens, so bacteria and viruses. So if you're having an office party or a party in your own house, you can aerate these or diffuse them into the air before your people get there. It protects them from you and protects you from them, and it smells great. So it has cinnamon and clove, and there's one called Holiday Joy, but it's pretty much identical. Holiday Joy is by doTERRA as well, but it's pretty much identical to the On Guard. And so now you have the protection, and it smells great. And so then you're not sharing and passing on not only the physical gifts, but you're passing on the microscopic gifts of disease. And so it's a great way to protect yourself and keep everybody healthy. And so when you get the oils, you can combine them in a diffuser. You can take them individually. But the best way is to get the oils now, because if any of these events that they're talking about, and I recall the FEMA notice that said, yes, anybody west of I-5 up in northern Washington will all be gone, because any tidal wave or tsunami of any import would take out everybody west of it completely. And obviously they don't really broadcast that too much, because the exodus from there would be immense. And now they're talking about an asteroid right before the holidays. It's quizzical that they would do that. So they're like, yeah, we told you about it, but you're so focused on buying things. And so they're like, well, we gave you a chance, just like right. Just before on September 10th, 2001. What happens? They could not locate $2 trillion of a Pentagon budget, and Rumsfeld said, we don't know where the money is. And then 9/11 occurred. And nobody talked.
That's right. Hold on, Leon. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Jared Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th day of December here at Republic Broadcasting. My website is thelibertyman.com. Yes, we're going on a cruise. Myself, Leon Green, all of you who sign up, assuming you sign up while there's still a cabin available, the John Moore Patriot Symposium Cruise. We'll be leaving Port Orlando Saturday the 9th of Sunday the 9th of February, returning Saturday the 16th of February. It'll be a lot of fun. It will be romantic if you choose it to be. Valentine's Day will be Valentine's Day right in the middle of the cruise. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com, or you can call our cruise director to make reservations. Our cruise director, Betsy Murphy. Here's her phone number twice, slowly. 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils. We haven't mentioned this for a while, Leon, but how many times are essential oils mentioned in the Bible, sir?
Over 300 references are made to essential oils in the Bible. So if you think about, and if anyone who would like to see a article, there's a webinar I've had for years, written by a pastor, that talk about the oils of the Bible. So they talk about cassia, spikenard, frankincense, myrrh. And talking about frankincense, this month, doTERRA has a special. They only do it once a year, and that is if any order, including brand new orders over $200, you will receive a free bottle of frankincense, which normally goes for $93 retail, and then as a member of doTERRA, it's only $63. If you get multiple orders over 200, you get multiple bottles. So I remember when I first got started, I know how important frankincense is for being anti-cancer, anti-tumoral, and anti-inflammatory. I end up getting like 5 orders the first year because I've got to get more of this because of the impact. I mean, all the itises, that's inflammation. So bronchitis and colitis, that whole list, that's inflammation of the body. Matter of fact, Time magazine years ago had a cover story, inflammation, the silent killer, and that information, the body's way of saying, look, you've got an issue, you got to address it. And if they keep dismissing it, then you start to get nerve damage, and you start to get other, once the cells start to die, then the tissue starts to die. And if you get enough tissue issues, then the organism dies. And so then the organ does, and then the organism dies. So, I took that austere medicine class by that special forces doc, and it was off-grid austere medicine, austere trauma medicine. So, we had both ends of the spectrum, high tech, that in the OR, and we were using Everclear as 95% or 190 proof alcohol to prep the gunsight wound. So they had a goat, they processed it, and then they shot it with 9 mil 5 different times. So each one of us got a leg and a body part, and we had to sew it back together again. And you had the retractors. It was a surgical theater. So we got to do that, and then we also saw the herbal application of the very similar things. So it's like epinephrine and lidocaine and all the others. So that week and a half long class was very effective in helping us see both ends of the spectrum. But more likely, you can use the oils 24/7 without electricity, without lidocaine, and still have huge benefits. And the plants are phenomenal, but you have to learn a lot more about doing plants and tinctures and all the processes involved with isolating those. And the vast majority of them, doTERRA already has those plants. So I think the herbal plants are phenomenal. The only challenge is if you have 2 feet of snow of trying to grow plants, or if you don't have a established grow house or greenhouse, you're going to have issues trying to do it after the fact. So you can't grow all these issues while the asteroid's coming in. You have to be prepared in advance. And like that last commercial for the live listeners who heard it, they said, knowledge is power. And I agree with that. But it's only power if you apply it. You can know it's important to have night vision goggles, but if you don't get them, you just know other people can use them against you, or if you know the oils are phenomenal and you procrastinate and you need them, you won't be able to call John or myself and say, hey, can you send us the bottle right now? We know everything's hit the fan, but we need some help.
That's right.
Like you said, John, you're not going to help.
When this event begins, what you got is what you got, and that's going to be it. These hard to get items, they're easy to get right now, but impossible to get later. That includes all the oils, night vision. Most sporting goods stores carry little, if any, night vision right now. Almost always has to be shipped in from someplace remote from where you are. And this is a good heads up, Leon, for people to become aware of this, cognizant of it, and get these supplies in now while we have what appears to be the luxury of time.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. And when you think about I talked about the deep blue the other day. A friend of mine, he was snowboarding here in Colorado, hurt his neck drastically. And he said, he was really stiff, and I was like, what's wrong with you? And I'll tell you the story later.
Okay, we have a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th day of December here at Republic Broadcasting. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I think if you have not read my article at my website, the article I wrote entitled The Possible Coming Second American Civil War, it would be wise to do so. Just incorporate it into your being. It's written in the form of a memorandum titled Field Training Exercise Tet Offensive. Tet Offensive, of course, was the Communist offensive in January 1968, where the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese attacked all the major bases in South Vietnam. So I think it'd be very well. I wrote this the 5th of July, and it's stood the test of time these past 6 months as being very valuable. Also, my website, of course, if you have arthritis pain you're dealing with, which millions of Americans deal with arthritis pain every day, and they deal with it with dangerous, expensive pharmaceutical products. How about dealing with it in a healthy manner? That would be the Energy Clinic. Energy Cleaner is a marvelous healing device. If you've got arthritis pain, it will help you. Joint pain, back pain, it will help you. If you want to sleep as good as a small child every night like I do, it will help you do that. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can place your order right there at my website at thelibertyman.com for an energy cleaner, the mattress pad that goes with it, twin full queen king, California king, the handy travel size. They're all right there. We can place your order using PayPal. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do for me to you personally. And, of course, I have a toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Tuesdays, we take the better part of an hour to talk to Leon Green about doTERRA essential oils and all manner of things. We stray into all different areas, like our favorite truck, the U.S. Army Deuce and a Half, into areas of prepping. And, of course, we take your questions and comments at 800-313-9443. You want to get back to that story that the break cut you off with there, Leon?
Yes, sir. So this was a Marine friend of mine who does a lot of my tech work on by now we're going to start work on the Deuce and a Half. And so he talked about the snowboarding issue, and I said, "Hey, are you open to the essential oil?" So, he said, "Yeah, I'll give it a try." He was really stiff, and I said, "Here." So I didn't have the rub with me at the time. I only had the oil, and I said, "Here, just rub that on your neck." And he was taking all sorts of chemicals, and he said, "These things aren't working." And that had been 6 hours into the chemicals and all the relief he tried from the modern techniques or the regular techniques that people have available. And so he put it on, and then about an hour later, he said, "I can't believe it, the difference my neck feels." And then he said, I said, "Do a control group. Take the chemicals on one side of your face, on your neck, and the other one on the other side." And he didn't remember about the control group until later. He said, "I missed a spot on my neck, and I could feel where that spot was really still tight and pained and agitated, whereas the rest of my neck, it was monumental." And so, it was just unusual. And he said, "I want to be a rep now." It was funny. He said, I can't believe how much this has made a difference. And so, the oils, it can help so many people, whether you're dealing with livestock issues, like if we've talked about it in the past, Purdue Farms. They're the only major chicken grower that doesn't use antibiotics. And so, they use marjoram and thyme oil. They even have a video on YouTube. You can see it. And so I don't know what company, and I'd love to find out what that was. And I think if it was doTERRA, that would be a coup, because we'd be able to advertise it. So I don't know. I would like to find out that, and maybe I'll make a pursuit to see if they'll tell me the answer. But most likely they may consider it like proprietary information, which doesn't matter to me. But I do know when if you go to the Bellagio Hotel, a friend of mine with doTERRA years ago went there, and she set up an account. And if you want to use essential oils at the Bellagio in Vegas, they can do a massage. And for years I just put it off. And I said, I'm going to go check it out. So I went there and I brought my own oils. And they had the blue, peppermint, lavender, and all the oils in their cases right there. And, and the massage was $170. And I never waste that kind of money, especially being in preparedness. I said, "Here, I'm going to treat myself and do it." So I took pictures. I did a video. And it shows you they have billions of dollars of Monet and Manet pictures and paintings and photographs and things like that in their museum. And one of the finest massage places in the world uses doTERRA oil. You have an option if you want to use it or not. But it just shows you that the oils have application from your dinner plate to having a luxurious massage. They have so many benefits. And if you apply them now, you can use them to eliminate, just regular common issues, as well as, now when you have grid down scenario and you have tainted water and you have constipation and other medical maladies that are really inherent to people being together in small groups. So you have the respiratory problems, and then you also have the waterborne illnesses. And so many people disregard how important sanitation is. And even the EMP commission. This was by the United States government, and they indicated that if there was an EMP in America, over 90% of Americans would be dead within the first 12 months. And the main reason was because of sanitation. If you have to get rid of millions of tons of poo and urine every day, and you can't dump it down the toilet, and that will back up after it's inundated because there's no flow and there's no electricity, now you have to get creative to move your stuff out. And so what happens is you have dysentery, cholera, and all the other waterborne illnesses that are going to take people out, which they do every day around the world anyway. But America...
Right. Well, it would be... the suburban America would do better because they have backyards where you can bury the human waste and burn the other debris. But in densely populated areas, any high-rise area, they would just be an unsanitary place to be very quickly within days, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. And, they have this Blackout and there's Armageddon or After Armageddon by Discovery Channel and National Geographic. They show these high-rises. Most of the windows, and the really high, those are solid windows. You can't adjust them. So you couldn't even throw it out the window. But now you just polluted everybody on the ground level, too. And that now becomes a serious issue. And you think about it, and people, they really don't think about waste until they go camping.
Until they have to deal with it right there up close and personal, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, think about it. That's why plumbers get paid so much money, especially during holiday or double time, because nobody wants to come out at 2 o'clock in the morning because the toilet's backed up, and nobody wants to deal with it. So if you don't figure out how to do it soon, you'll be mandated, because when electricity goes out, it will go downhill for a bit, and then whether you want to or not, even if you don't use it, it will start to back up, because depending on where you are in the water table or the poo table, the natural gravity will push it back up. And so you have to take that into account. So, a lot of these things people, and even advanced peppers
so let's talk about that just a little bit. Modern sanitation, what we plumbers call sanitary sewers, many of them, they all feed by gravity to one of two places, either the treatment plant or to a holding tank where it's then pumped with electric motors to the treatment plant. If you're fortunate enough to be directly connected to the treatment plant with no holding tank, it depends on electric motor, you're very blessed. Because if you're not, that means the holding tank the city uses will stop functioning once the electric stops. And all that stuff's going to back up from you and all your neighbors into your house, won't it, man?
Absolutely. And matter of fact, I have two friends that are plumbers. The neighbor across the street, whose daughter had Lyme disease. I really want to sit down with him and ask him, what do you have for your preparedness here? What are you doing? And I'm curious. I like to see the cups. They have these special cups that you can stick down there and you insert it in, and it prevents the backflow.
That's right. I used to use those when I did plumbing work with my dad, and those are used to do pressure tests on the sewage system, and they will stop it. Otherwise, stuffing it with rags may or may not be effective, and of course you don't know until the event, do you?
Exactly. So yes, I want to get those pressure and have them available, on site, and have them, many people they may have heard of the water bob, which is you can fill up your water. It's a 50-gallon water container that you attach to the bathtub, and you just fill it up. So if you need emergency water immediately, that you do that. But how many people have those? And
not many. Less than 1% of the people have those. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so people say,
less than 1% of the people know they even exist.
Yes, sir. And so, there's so many things we can address on the cruise, and I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to hear all your new information and the things that we can't talk about on the radio or on the phone. So I am excited about that. And it's kind of cold here in Colorado, and I love to ski, but I'm going to be excited about going on this trip. And I got a call. Matter of fact, during last week's call, Betsy was calling me. I'm like, she doesn't know that But it was just ironic.
She doesn't know our schedule. I'll be talking about you today, but she doesn't know our schedule.
Yes, sir. And so I called her during the bottom of the hour break and called her and I said, yeah, what's up? Did you find an extra person for a roommate? And she said, no, but she said, you can register now at the check-in. I said, 3 months early, a month and a half early? She said, yeah, they're ready. You can check in now. I said, no problem. I'll do that. But, and so I'm just excited about going on the trip and what to learn and also what to share. So, and then also what to learn from Steve as well.
Steve Ben Noon. Yeah, well, our conference on the day before we leave is going to be a lot of fun also, won't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. And did you ever find out about Sam Andrews? Is he able to come yet? Is that yet?
Sam and I have both been so busy. Sam's on my list of people to talk to today, and I, quite frankly, I don't know. But we'll be talking to Sam and get some word from him. His wife was having an issue dealing with her place of employment, getting the time off. So we'll get some clarification on that.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm excited about the fact that, there are so many things that we can do on a daily basis. And people say, I don't have money to go get night vision goggles today. And I understand that. But you can get extra rice and beans. And right now, based on how the sugar beet crop has failed this year, the price of sugar is going to spike very soon. So, I forgot to get that yesterday, but I'm going to buy a bunch of that. I don't like having just plain white sugar, but for cooking, it doesn't matter. And it's just like, NaCl, regular table salt. That has no health benefits. It's actually detrimental because of the proclivity for hypertension. But if you get, I use Himalayan salt, and I use that only for cooking. But the regular salt or sea salt, you need the salt. You can do it for brining and curing and other things. But if you don't have any of that, that is going to become a staple and a highly desired commodity. I mean, think about the spice trade. The reason why, Columbus was traveling around was because they were trying to get more variety in their bland diets. And so, tomatoes came from the New World. Potatoes did. There's a whole bunch of things because people were tired of eating the same fare. Well, if you don't have a lot of diversity in your food, you're going to be just like those people in Northern Europe who were getting tired of caraway and fennel when they didn't even know that hot peppers existed. And so if you have the oils, you can greatly diversify your flavor palette. Instead of just beans and rice, you can have Indian, you can have Thai, you can have Greek. But if you don't have any of those, you're going to be stuck with whatever's in your cabinet, and that's all you have until they run out. And then you're going to be stuck on a very bland diet. And so things like salt are crucial. And if you don't physically have salt, your body you will expire after a certain amount of time if you do not have salt in your diet. And
right. Human beings cannot live without salt. I say again, human beings cannot live without salt. It's not optional. Right now it's cheap and easy to get. Insects won't bother it. Cold doesn't bother it. Heat doesn't bother it. At the moment, thieves could care less about stealing your salt. But in some future crisis, it would be very valuable to have as a trade item and barter item, wouldn't it, Leon?
And I will trade salt much easier than I will trade ammo, for sure.
Well, the salt's not going to come back to you at 2,000 feet per second. So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Leon, we got the holidays coming up. This would be a great time to get a diffuser and have your home smelling really nice with some essential oils, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and like we talked about earlier, you can use On Guard. Any of the oils, you can diffuse them all, and you can mix them. Many people will call me out of the blue saying, "Can I mix the oils?" And it's like, just like you can put 3 different oils under your tongue, and they will still get in your bloodstream, whether you do them incrementally or you do them all at the same time. They all get absorbed. And peppermint is unique in that it's like a catalyst. It's a driver. So if you have back pain, you can put peppermint on top of it, and it'll drive whatever oil you have deeper and last.
Right. Well, it's something I was not aware until fairly recently, but anything that's on your skin will get in your body. And so whenever I'm working in my Triumph sports car or motorcycle, I wear nitrile gloves to keep the various chemicals and oils and so forth, automotive products from being absorbed into my skin. And so I make sure that what I do is absorbed into my skin. The doTERRA oils is what I want absorbed into my skin. That would just be a smart thing to do for everybody, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And you think about all the people in heavy industry, and I talk to these guys, and a lot of them have cancers now, people who work at pesticides, and I go out to the farms and I talk to people like that, and they're like, yeah, we spray Roundup every day. And this blew me away. I saw this one truck, it said, enjoying lunch? Thank an AG pilot. And it had a little Piper Cub, with a spray behind it. And I was like, I know you have to do that because that's your job, but the likelihood of that person having pesticide-induced cancers is huge. And so if you touch Italian or the ladies that work in the, they do the fingernails and toenails and all that, they have acetone on their skin, and a lot of them don't use plastic. So the acetone is terrible. And
hold that thought, man. Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 17th of December. Leon, we have breaking news in the last 5 minutes. Rudy Giuliani, the President Trump's personal attorney, was on Fox News saying he has proof that the impeachment is a cover-up and explains why he was in Ukraine recently. Of course, Rudy Giuliani is a former mayor of New York City and former federal prosecutor. And he is, of course, President Trump's personal attorney. I think this may be a good turn of events. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I have not. I probably can't give you a knowledgeable response to that because, I know that, when you have this three-ring circus with the media, they're trying to mask other things that they're doing. I mean, just like with the Epstein thing. So, yeah, I'm glad that he came out to say that. But you probably won't hear them talk about it, and it won't be, like you were saying, the FEMA issues and the asteroid. That's gonna be a blip. They're gonna keep running the impeachment stuff, even though Clinton was impeached. He didn't get out of office. So they're just throwing up a bunch of poo against the wall to see what sticks, and it's just disappointing. They're wasting it, but they don't spend the billions of dollars that they've wasted on all these pursuits on things that are important, like hardening the EMP. Or hardening the infrastructure. I mean, they said if they spent $2 billion, we would not have the loss of life attached to that. And people are like, well, Iran won't do something like that, and neither would North Korea. But the sun is always there, and this happened in 1859, and we missed it just 3 years ago by an X-25 solar flare. And whoever was facing the sun at the time would have all been impacted. They would have been in the dark age for others. After New York City.
The nature of a solar event could actually go all the way around the planet, where man-made EMP is only line of sight. So these are certainly things people need to be aware of. Well, Leon, we're down to the last 2 minutes here. What words of wisdom do you want to leave with these folks today, sir?
I would say, just until the end of the year, why don't you just make a point to learn a new tip or new technique? YouTube is phenomenal in that regard. And today I'm going to go to an LDS refinery and go pick up, 500 pounds of grains and rice for my own homestead. So, and I'm going to keep it simple because, I know it's not going to be a long time. I'm not worried about the 25-year shelf life aspect because I'm just going to put it in a metal barrel and protect it. So I would highly recommend people just, and that's probably going to cost me less than $300. So, if you spend $50, you can have a bunch of salt, a bunch of food, and instead of buying another DVD that you watch one time, leave it on the shelf, make a difference and learn something and do something that actually is practical.
That's right.
In emergencies that help people. And get the oils, too. Get the oils now while you still can.
Well, get them while you can. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Well, we'll be talking privately soon. Have you back next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Take care. God bless.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. All right, tomorrow we'll have Professor McCanny with us at first hour, my friend Jeff Nyquist the second hour. Thursday, we'll have open lines the first hour, first half hour, Steve Hunt, Tom Berryhill, the bottom of the hour, and of course Steve Hunt, the top of hour two, the John Moore Radio Show Economic Advisor. A full week as usual. And of course Friday we'll have Tom Berryhill first hour with emergency communications, and my friend Dr. Lynn Wilbert with health-related matters the second hour. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition, ever good. Please do a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.